these are the type of steps that I would encourage you. Not saying you have to do it. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Gloria and I am a full-time clothing reseller on Poshmark, eBay, Depop, and Mercari. And in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about sell-through rate and checking comps. And these are the methods that I do when I'm out there sourcing to make sure I'm picking up sellable pieces and pieces that people actually want to buy. So as you guys may already know, I am heavy into style-based sourcing. However, I also still check brands. So I'm not just only doing style-based, which is sometimes hard to check the sell-through rate and the comps on a style-based piece. You are always able to check the sell-through rate and the comps when it comes to a brand and the size and the style and all the things to just make sure you are going to be picking up a piece that you are going to be able to actually sell instead of like letting it sit and collect dust, you know? So for me, I actually have a criteria. My number one thing is to make sure that I'm going to be picking up a piece that can flip for over $20. That is my end game when it comes to sourcing these items at the Goodwill outlet. I want to put $1.15, you know, roughly into $20. So then I can get a net profit of $15 after fees and cost of goods. So that is my end game when it comes to my business model, is to make sure that I net $15 with every single piece that I source from the Goodwill outlet. Of course, since we moved into 2025, prior to that, it wasn't that clear. I was just picking up pieces that had, you know, a sell-through rate that I was comfortable with. I didn't really care about like the price point as far as me netting a good amount, which I feel like is worthwhile. As long as you can get like a bottom number for yourself, I think that can kind of help you navigate when it comes to sourcing and picking up these pieces. So for me, like I said before, $20 is my price point and $15 is my net that I want on an item. So that is the first thing that I think of when I pick up an item and I'm about to check the comps on it. The second thing is making sure that the item is not saturated with like the brand, of course. So typically for some pieces, you will find an item that is extremely saturated. And for me, saturated is if it has over thousands and thousands of listings. So we know Nike is going to be super oversaturated. We know Adidas is going to be super oversaturated. We know brands like J. Jill, Chico's, and Talbot's, and Taylor, Loft, like all of those mall brands, even American Eagle, like anything that you can walk inside of a mall and you can see that type of store, you know that it's other stores just like it, really close. So that means that it is available to a lot of people, and a lot of people are getting rid of these pieces because either they've outgrown them, they're older, they don't want them anymore, whatever the case is. So you will find them at a thrift store or a Goodwill outlet a lot. So when I see an oversaturated brand like American Eagle, I like to make sure like, hey, what type of factors can go into this? Now, moving on to number 3 when it comes to my criteria, it is when it comes to women's items, I am specifically looking for 50% and over sell-through rate. Now, of course, it makes it much easier. We'll pull up the American Eagle again because I kind of just talked about that one. So when it comes to American Eagle, that one, I'm actually going to just do some market research because why not, you know? Okay, so I'm trying to, okay. Anyways, so we are on, let me get at the music. All right, so we're gonna get onto eBay and I'm going to type in, I'm only using one hand, so bear with me. We're gonna type in American Eagle, one hand, y'all, jeans. All right. So the number is 200,000. So this is very important to do because now let's move on to sizes. So I don't pick up smaller sizes. I try to stick to 12 and over. So I'm going to just do 12. So size 12 jeans. So now we're at 5,000 or 5,200. So now what is currently trending right now? Wide leg, right? Wide leg and baggy, but I'm going to do wide leg. Okay, so wide leg. Ooh, how did that even happen? Wide leg. Okay, the size changed. So we're going to go back to wide leg size 12. So 480 of them have been listed. So now we are going to go ahead and check the sell-through rate on that 480 because now it's a good size and then it's a good style. So 480 listed and 144 sold. So roughly about a 25% sell-through rate. All right, let me see. What else would be a great factor? Ooh, cargo. Okay, so let's put cargo in the thing. Okay, so we are wide leg, cargo, size 12. And now I'm just going to make sure that, oh, wow, it's only 16. Okay, so 16 of them are listed. Oops, what am I doing? 16 listed and 175 sold. Wait a damn minute. There's no way. Okay, yeah, 175 sold and 270 listed. Okay, so clearly it didn't update quick enough. So the criteria was American Eagles jeans, size 12, wide leg, and cargo. 270 of them are listed. And then go back to how many actually sold, and it was 175, which is a great sell-through rate. That is over 50% that I want in women's items. Now I'm going to go look at the price point. So now I'm seeing $20, $30, $25, $26. All of these are over $20. So I would naturally take these home immediately because they fit that criteria of 50% sell-through rate and over, and then they're going to sell for over $20. So now you guys see my mindset when it comes to me picking up these items at the outlet. I have to make sure that that brand, of course, American Eagle is saturated. However, it was a size 12. It was trendy, so wide leg, and then cargo is an added bonus. And then we found out that it is a really good sell-through rate. So moving on. So I do have, of course, you already know I got a list, but moving on to the men's items. Now this one, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I do think I'm going to be planning on phasing out men's items and children's items in my closet just because they are slow to move and I just don't enjoy picking them up anymore. And I kind of want to move to a place where I am only sourcing pieces that I want to sell and not just feeling like I need to pick these pieces up so I can meet my monthly quota of, enough items listed and sold. But what I have here, and which I've been kind of operating off of and very loosely operating off of, is for men, the sell-through rate needed to be 80% and over. Now, I have found myself in pickles where I notice that the sell-through rate is not 80%. It's closer to 50%. And I look at the comps and I look at the sell-through rate and I'm just kind of like, okay, comps wise, these numbers are not that bad. They actually align with what my, bare bottom is, which is selling for $20 and over. And when it comes to the sell-through rate of the items, they're not meeting that 80%. Like I said, they're closer to 50%. And I will use an item as a perfect example. So it was a men's 511 tactical button-down shirt. Now, for me, in a situation like this where I want to take this piece home, but I am unsure of it actually performing the best. So we're going to go back onto eBay and see. It hasn't been that long since it sold. Like we're talking maybe a week, but I want to just make sure that I can get a good number for you guys. So it was a 511. Sorry, y'all, still working with one hand. Let me just set the phone down. So 511 tactical shirt. Now it was a button front and it was short sleeve. So I'm gonna, and it was a size large. So I'm gonna put short sleeve. Sometimes using too many, criterias will affect the numbers. So you don't want to do too much. You don't want to narrow it down too much. But if you have a narrow down piece and you really want to just hone in on how much will this one exactly go for, that is a good thing to do. And that's what I'm currently doing now. Anyway, so we have 1900 listed for short sleeve, button front, size large. And it's 1900. And let's see how many actually sold. 730, which is a little bit under the 50% sell-through rate. I decided to still take mine home, and these are all of the ones that have recently sold. I'm kind of shocked that mine isn't on here because it recently sold. Oh, there we go. There's mine right here. This blue one. So this is mine. I would like to see, if anything, no. I was going to say maybe some keywords because I did make sure that I put rip stop in mine. But mine sold for $21 when the sell-through rate was under 50%. And it looks like the comps were a little rocky if you look at these. Some of them are good, but that one's new. So yeah, I guess it just really comes down to the buyer and what they're willing to pay for it. Because these were definitely a little bit under what I typically want, but I was able to sell mine for the price point that I wanted to sell it for. So I don't know how that happened. And it sold within like 2 days. So it was a really fast turnaround. But yeah, we're going to get off that. But yeah, so that is something that I do. And I wouldn't suggest you do the exact same thing as me. However, it worked. But doing it that way, you are taking a chance every single time. And sometimes you'll, be left with a lot of pieces that aren't selling because you went against your, criteria. So I would highly suggest you build a criteria and just stay within it. And maybe sometimes you can deviate from it to just test items, but don't do it often. But that was my criteria for men's items, is a 80% sell-through rate. However, like I said earlier, I am thinking about phasing it out. And to piggyback off of that, I do go under, like I said, to 50% sometimes with men's items if I notice that the comps are high. So if I see a piece that is selling for, let's say, 25 and over, and I notice that it is a 50% sell-through rate, I will just price mine a little bit under my competition just so I can make sure mine can move. Now, is that undercutting the market? Possibly, but I'm not doing it as often for that exact item. It would only be that bad if I picked up like, I don't know, let's say 20 of whatever that item is, and then I priced all of them under market. But if I'm finding one, every couple of months, I think it's okay to, price mine $5 a little bit lower so I can make sure that I can get mine out the door quicker. And then I can sell mine closer to market price versus a price point that, people are bumping up because they want to leave room for offers. All right, so when I am in the stage of looking at the sold comps, because now we are done with the actual, sell-through rate percentage, we are actually going to be looking at what is sold in those sold comps. So I do want to use like an example of what I previously said. So Sundance, silk, velvet, button front top. I'm going to say burgundy because we are moving into the transitional season. And then it's going to be a size extra large. So with that being said, I'm going to look that up. Look up, the price points and the sellability of that exact item. So going back to eBay, we're going to get out of 511 and we are going to go to Sundance. Now, Sundance is not doing the best, but we're going to just type in button front silk top. So we're at 730. See, a lot of these are not, maybe I forgot velour, excuse me. Or is it velvet? Let's try velvet. Come on, fingers, get it together. Okay, so velvet. Okay, we're narrowed down to 450. Now, I did say mine would be purple, but we're going to leave the color out for now, just to kind of get a sell-through rate of this exact style, because I've actually sold this quite a few times. Different colors, different sizes. So 430 is listed, and 11 have sold. What? So 450 listed, and 11 have actually sold. Now, what's so crazy is that if I would have found this at the Goodwill outlet, I would have picked this up like with the quickness. I wouldn't have even looked at the sell-through rate because it's Sundance, it's silk, it's velvet, and this is a perfect top for the transitional season. Whew, okay. So you see these, a lot of them are ones that have like paisley print or like a floral print to them. They're not the basic ones. What's so funny with me saying this, I just remembered, I came across this exact thing that I, am talking about when I went to the buy sell trade store, and I did check comps because I did have to pay a little bit more at the buy sell trade store. And I was so disappointed because I had to leave it behind. That is so interesting. Okay. So now we're going to take the solds off and go to, it's only 11. So this is terrible, but I'm going to go to the extra large. So it's 10 of the extra large listed, and how many have sold? 1 have sold. And this is not even the piece that I am thinking about. This is a piece that I'm thinking about. This color, I said pink, but I said burgundy. Yeah, guys, this was terrible. This is the one that I was thinking about. Okay, their price is crazy. So that's probably why it hasn't sold yet. The price is pretty crazy. If that's your item, I'm sorry, but crazy. For me, I would have priced mine at $34.99 because I, of course, would get it from the outlet, and then I would sell it for about $30. All right, so we are done with that. So yeah, that is what I do when I am checking the sold comps. I am seeing if the piece that I currently have is matching the ones that have sold, not the ones that are listed. Because if yours is matching the ones that are listed, that means that you're going to have to price yours lower so you can get yours to actually sell. But if yours is one that is commonly seen in the sold, that's when you can kind of form the price point and make sure that you can actually get yours sold as well. So what's important to look at is the piece that you have and the size like. So that's why it's good to put the size in it as well, but narrow everything down. So is it looking similar to the solds or is it looking similar to the listed items? And then of course you'll have to factor in the size, the style, and the price. So that is something that you have to be mindful of when you are sourcing, because of course, yeah, you can pick this piece up and you can list it and it is what it is. But if you kind of want to narrow things down and make sure you can get yours out the door, these are the type of steps that I would encourage you. Not saying you have to do it, but yeah, y'all, this is all that I got. I have been using this method since the beginning of the year, and it has been helping me a lot. This is just inside my brain. I know that everybody has like different criteria, a different way in which they decide if they want to take something home. But I have narrowed it down to actual data. And then as far as like the style base, that one, like I said, is a little bit more difficult to kind of like wrestle with, because you have to be really good when it comes to style based sourcing. You have to know like, okay, the fabric content is good. This style is currently in. This size is actually really good. This color is actually really good. Like, you have to pretty much narrow it down. And then also on top of that, know that this is something that is sellable due to data. So whatever you have, sometimes you can just type it into eBay and then see if it's any available versus how many have sold. So for me, picking up a express silk blouse that has a flare sleeve, I know that that's going to do amazing. And then if it's a size large, even more amazing. I recently sold a piece. That's why I'm bringing it up. But express, vintage, like Y2K or 90s silk do amazing for me. But of course, you got to factor in the style, because you can pick up a piece that has like this ugly little ruffle in the front and it's sleeveless. You know that that is a Y2K piece, but that is not a style that is trendy. But if you can find a piece that has like a flare to it, maybe a baby doll style to it, or even like an empire bust style, like that is important to actually get that item to sell, because you could have 3 great factors, but if it has that one factor that is going to hold that item back, it would not be in your best interest to pick up. There's a huge difference in like Y2K 90 trendy pieces and then just like Y2K 90 pieces. Something that I have recently learned that I had to really be like, Gloria, let's get it together. It is that 3/4 sleeve. So I had to previously leave a piece behind. It had sellable features, but that one thing with it being a 3/4 sleeve made me reconsider picking it up. And of course I did leave it behind. So it was a top, and it was a velvet burnout top, and it was textured. It was just a regular t-shirt. It was a size medium. So I'm just like, okay, these have a few factors, but then that 3/4 sleeve, and it was just a regular sleeve. It was a fitted sleeve. Threw it off. So that is something that I have to really reconsider when it comes to picking up style-based pieces that I'm trying to sell to Gen Z and millennials, is that 3/4 sleeve. If it's not like a flare, the girls aren't really checking for it. So that is something that I am very mindful of. And when I was saying before, like, even though it has multiple factors as to why it would sell, one factor could also ruin it actually selling. So that's why it's good to just, continue to pay attention to trends and all of the things. But that is all that I have for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please consider subscribing, like this video, and leave a comment on some type of criteria that you place in your business. Or if you don't have a criteria, let me know that too, because you already know I'm nosy. And then of course, if you want to support my channel in a very free way, you would hit that hype button that YouTube has now placed for us content creators. That is a free way to support my channel. And thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one.